think it's funny when you add a little bit of money to a sport and you give some girls attention, what they can do with it. I think everyone should take a page out of our book and really put some more time and effort into women's everything.
Welcome to Breaking the Glass Hockey Podcast. We're talking women's hockey from the PWHL to the NCAA. We'll be talking with players, builders, coaches, and fans who have made this great game what it is today. It's time to educate, empower, and elevate. Let's go!
Welcome back. Episode number 12, Breaking the Glass Hockey Podcast. It's your host, Brownie, with one of my co-hosts, Sassy Linda, and no Kelly this evening. And I feel like we haven't had a podcast in a while, but there's been a lot going on that we were just waiting for it to wrap up. So how you doing, buddy?
No, it's like, speed dating here with the PWHL and figuring out what's going on and what you like and what you don't like.
That's probably the best comparison because that's how we'll get into the draft in a few minutes. But that's how it felt when they were announcing their picks. It was, you were like, wait, who, what, where? Yeah,
it was. I was wishing I told you I watched it. I'm losing my thing on my hockey collection. There we go. I was watching in bed, like I had my phone, my AirPod and everything. Yeah, too late for me. And I was wishing I had like a piece of paper and I was doing like a draft. Like that would have been cool to do like a fantasy draft or something. And it would be cool to do that moving forward with the regular season. But I think it's just, I was trying to like scroll my phone and look for who's left and what could happen. And now we have all that today.
Should we do a fantasy draft, you, me, and Kelly, and make teams and do a fantasy hockey between the three of us for some kind of prize?
We could. Let's get some more people involved.
Well, I was trying to rig it for myself, but yeah, okay. It was exciting. There's been some backlash. Of course, people are always complaining about something. These teams, I mean, we'll get into it in a few minutes. These teams are stacked, and I think the original 6 teams are going to feel the hit from these players that they've lost.
They are, but it was pretty evident just based on the strategy. I think that, yes, those first 5 signings were big names, and so were the ones after that. Like, here's what we've got. We've got a concentrated amount of talent, right? Because there's only 6 teams. Now they need 8. All of this is all good, but there's growing pains with that, and this is part of it. We are not going to incentivize a brand new market and crowd by asking them to draft in the bottom half of the draft or try to get 22 players in the draft only or ask players to come play for them maybe that don't want to. I mean, there's lots of good reasons why they did it this way, and it's people just have to be patient with it. I know that the original teams took a hit, but I guess my point is when you saw as the strategy went along, how it was, I think what they said was it's the right salary fit too. When they got into pick 7 and 8 and 9 and 10, it was like, how can we fit this person into under our cap? Right. So it wasn't like they were going to go out and get, the 5th and 6th and 7th player on a team. Sometimes it was a 4th liner. Sometimes it was a 5th or 6th D. But everybody's good. So, they are stacked, and it does feel like you're making a bit of an all-star team in a way. But the draft is coming, the entry draft. And
not only is the entry draft coming, but you also want these teams to be successful because there's nothing that could torpedo Seattle and Vancouver is if they come out of the gate and they drop the first 12 games, both teams.
That's what I meant about you want to incentivize these markets. Hey, you've got a team and they're going to be competitive right away. And that's, that's not going to, there's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be people. I mean, I think there's a few threads out there, maybe on Facebook, one group that they're really really shooting down, like, why are you doing this? You're ruining the talent and the team. And I don't have any doubt that between entry draft, between free agent signings, that it's going to all kind of shake itself out.
I think so as well. I think that they've thought this through, and there was a lot of permutations and different ideas put out, and the way they came up with this was not throwing shit at a wall to see what would stick. It was methodical and thought through.
We still need 10 more players.
Right.
It's a lot. It's still a lot. Even though they have 12, they need 10 more.
Yeah, and there's almost 200 players entered into the draft. Yeah. So, I mean, you could argue that they should have opened up. They could have opened up 2 more teams. They could have done 4. But, boy, before we get there, let's do our mea culpas. I'll go first with my quick one. You and I were talking how I said I met Kara Gardner-Morey's husband, Sean, at some point. I was telling my wife, I'm like, don't I meet this guy at Duxbury Beach? And she's like, yeah, he went to high school with me and my sisters. I'm like, oh. So that just shows you how much alcohol I consume over the 4th of July. So shout out to me. And then, Linda, your clothing brand, do you have it?
I found it. It's very exciting.
Go ahead.
Okay. The clothing brand is called Hockey W Collection. It's Hockey W Collection is a lifestyle brand inspired by the fastest team sport in the world, founded by an ex-women hockey player, of which I'm investigating. Started in 2016, and you're showing one of the sweatshirts, which I love that. But, they deck out teams. They make custom jackets. So the handle is at hockey.w. So it's right up on the screen, hcky.w on Instagram.
hcky.w.
Yeah, yep. hcky.w. As far as I know, they don't ship to the U.S., but that's why I was going to order something and have it shipped to Denise's house for the summer. I don't know what she's doing now because she's moving. So
yeah, she's going to be busy with something.
So we'll see what that brings. But yeah, that's it. They have some really cool and creative styles. So shout out to them. We'll try to tag them when we post this and just give them some love.
Yeah, and support women-owned business too, for sure.
Yeah.
And then one item from the hockey world, the greater hockey world, the IIHF Hall of Fame. We missed this with all the trepidation and excitement heading into the expansion draft. Vicky Sunohara, yes, was inducted, 9 world titles and 2 Olympic golds. She is the first woman to claim IIHF gold as both a player and a coach. So stick taps to her. You know her?
Yes, I played with her for 1 year in Northeastern.
Yep.
Where's my mic drop? Where's my mic?
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Sorry.
Come on.
Yeah,
I never have it.
Here it is.
I never really use it or have it, and Kelly usually has all these. Oh, Mark Messier.
There it is.
I think it's a little long. We'll have to work on that.
All right, sorry.
But I like it. Yeah, I played with Vicky for 1 year at Northeastern. So she was there at Northeastern 2 years. She left after her 2nd year. She just wanted to be back home, really, in Toronto. Ended up being a great move for her. Now she's at U of T, but hopefully we can get her on the show sometime. That would be really great to chat with her. But huge congrats to her. She was just such a phenomenal player. She scored, I think it was her freshman year. She scored 51 goals in a season. It was unheard of. Her skill level is like everybody knows.
51?
5-1.
Wow.
Yep. I mean, she was the kind of player. I know there are a lot of players like that out there. For me, just bragging about being on the ice with her, you just go to the net hard in practice and keep your stick on the ice, and she's going to pass it right off your stick into the net, and you think you're awesome. So it's really confidence booster. No, but I love Vicky. She's awesome. I would see her from time to time when I was on the road recruiting when she first started with U of T. Haven't chatted with her in a while, but huge congrats to her. Well deserved.
U of T is at University of Toronto?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. That's what I thought, but you know me and my colleges, so
Yeah, that's true. I got to dumb it down for you a little bit.
yeah, a little bit. All right, so let's talk PWHL expansion. If you've been living under a rock, there's two new teams, Seattle and Vancouver. Vancouver, Kara Gardner-Mori is the GM, and in Seattle, Megan Turner. They had the draft. It was last night, right? Last night?
Yeah.
Yes, last
Yeah.
night. They did a snake draft, which I thought was smart. Um, Vancouver won the first pick, so it was Vancouver. Seattle had two, and then back to Vancouver for two, back and forth like that until the final pick, where Seattle got the last pick of the draft. Each team added 12 players through the draft. I believe it was 12.
Correct. Well, they're up to 12. They picked 7 each.
Oh yeah, sorry. They had the original 4, and then which I thought was cool is that no team could lose more than 4 players to the expansion draft. They were originally allowed to protect 3, and then once 2 got picked from the roster, they were allowed to protect a 4th player. So a little bit of maneuvering. There's a lot of cap implications that I was told there'd be no math, so I'm not even going to attempt it.
No way.
Yeah, so you had to stay under the threshold there. So there were some math people, I'm sure, in the GM's ears, making sure that they were compliant to make sure they didn't go over. And we saw a familiar face in the Seattle war room. Head coach of the Northeastern Huskies, Dave Flint, was in there in an advisory role, looking pretty sharp on his PWHL YouTube debut. So he was in there, as sure as a sounding board, and he coached a lot
stirring
of these.
Up a bunch of rumors, having people
definitely stirring up.
Text from people, what's going on?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. But I'm sure Turner knows him, and he's a calming influence for anything else, right? In the pressure situation. But yeah, it was really cool. I think it was well done. We talked about how some people are upset, but you got to make these teams competitive. Let's see if I can share this picture. So there you go. So this is their rosters going into the PWHL draft. Seattle, I'll just buzz through these. Hillary Knight, Danielle Serdaki, Kayla Barnes, Alex Carpenter, Corinne Schroeder. Those are the players they picked ahead of the draft. Vancouver picked Claire Thompson, Sophie Jakes, Mash Meyer, Sarah Nurse, Jennifer Gardner. That was ahead of the draft also. And then the picks were pretty. I don't think there was anything shocking. And if you were watching on YouTube, the chat was very upset by the amount of Ottawa Charge players that were going early. But I mean, hey, you're in the finals. That's what happens,
Well, and when they started, for anybody that didn't specifically watch it, they did a little. Jane Hafford had a ball. They had 2 tokens, basically masks, and it was Vancouver and Seattle, and they mixed it up in a box, and she picked it random, and that's who got to choose. Did they want the first pick, or did they want 2 and 3? And as soon as they went into the 2 and 3, that's when they went by the 2. So whoever took the first pick got 4 and 5.
Yes.
That's interesting. I'm thinking, geez, they really wanted Ashton Bell, Vancouver, because that's who they picked, right? Vancouver went first, yeah.
Yep.
So they really, really wanted Ashton Bell. I'm not sure that would have been the name that I would have said you want to pick first, and then let's give them 2 and 3. I mean, they got Terarova and Vilka out of those 2 and 3 picks, but they really. They've got. I mean, the D are so good, but I feel like Seattle went a little bit for depth, and Vancouver went hard for the D.
Well, yes and no. When you look at the breakdown, though, Vancouver has 1 extra forward on their roster right now. They have their top 4 though, for sure, right?
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah. I would love to get Megan Turner like with Truth Serum and be like, hey, if you had the number one pick, who were you still going with Terralova? Because that happens. Everybody
Yeah,
has different markers they use for the players and ranking them. She might
yeah,
have she might have wanted Terralova. I will say, like you talk about the D for Vancouver, Seattle. I mean, you got Hillary Knight, Alex Carpenter, Hannah Bilka. There's line one.
mhm,
Then you got
yeah.
Jesse Eldridge, Julia Gosling, and who am I missing? Did I skip somebody? Oh, and Sardash.
Redacting.
You could do her either way. So I mean, whatever. There's their top six, pretty
Yeah,
much set.
yeah,
And then, I mean, I know I'm partial to her, but they got Megan Carter, 11th overall, who's a solid. I mean, that's a future top pair.
yeah,
You know? And
yeah. I mean,
Vancouver,
she's steady. We know very well from our time with her as a Husky. She's steady, and she was hurt for the better part of this year, but she still stepped back in and was just Megan Carter style, like like no big deal, like that almost like when a goalie's relaxed and you think they're not going to save it, but if they're so relaxed and it's not a lot of effort what they do, they don't expend a lot of energy. Megan Carter's got a similar presence. She's just very calm, very steady. Almost looks not nonchalant, but just the way she carries herself doesn't look like she's expending a ton of effort. Yeah, and she always makes the smart play.
let's stick with Seattle for a sec too, because also they talked a bit on the broadcast about the snarl of Seattle and the way they were building their team. Well, let's start with Hillary Knight. We all know how she plays, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Serdachny, Carpenter has a bit of that, and then you get down. I mean, Emily Brown. From what I've seen of her play and what everybody talks about, number one, they all talk about how great she is in the locker room, but the
Mm-hmm.
edge she plays with. I mean, they're going to be tough to play against that team.
Yeah, I think that both teams, if you're talking about both GMs, pick some players that they knew what they could get out of based on their personal experience, right? And based on knowing them,
Mhm.
either via Boston or, for Kara, former Princeton players. I mean, obviously she's well versed in the landscape of all the players, but I think that they, whether Kara coached against them or knew them from Hockey Canada or Princeton, they definitely went in and said, this is what I know I'm going to get out of this person. And there's some intangibles.
Yeah. Yeah. When you talk about Vancouver with their latter picks, Izzy Daniel, Gabby Rosenthal,
Yeah.
Bard, Krasova. I mean, just the players that they got late are, I mean, like we said, they're all-star teams because everyone you're picking from is on an all-star team.
But this is pro hockey. So
Right.
everybody should be this good. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And even like the draft entry. So maybe in the draft entry, which I know we'll talk about next, maybe I don't even want to water it down and say this, and I don't want to offend anybody by saying this that's in the draft entry, but maybe somebody's going to get a shot on one of these teams as a fourth liner or a reserve that will only last a year or two. There are some people in the draft, they're like, hey, why don't I give it a go now? And should they be in there? Shouldn't they? They're just seeing an opportunity and saying, I don't want to say I didn't try.
Yeah.
Right. So I think maybe that happens, but I don't know. I mean, 20 more players plus, what, 12, what you lost and what you have to gain. Like the one good thing about for the entry draft is that teams need to fill up. I mean, there will be still some moving around, but the draft almost needed this. The entry draft, the list of players that are in the entry draft, they needed this to increase their chances.
Well, yeah, and you talked about fourth liners. Like, look how impactful that fourth line was for Minnesota in the playoffs, in the finals,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, they were the highest scoring line in the finals. So
yeah,
that's all right. So let's talk about expansion draft a little bit. So this sheet that I sent you is a monster, and I apologize, but I wanted to have all the information. There's a bunch of players that didn't play last year at all, and I'm trying to not make this all Northeastern because the top of the list is Peyton Anderson, who didn't play last year.
Yeah. Are
But
you on the draft eligible ones? Is that what you're
yeah, the
talking
draft
about?
eligible.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
So like Allison Reeb, I remember her from Merrimack. Didn't play last year. She probably saw the success of players, saw people that she played against, and was like, "Wait a minute, if I don't try, right?" Or maybe she was coming back from injury. There's a million
Yeah.
reasons, you know. But there is one name, a couple names I wanted to ask you about. So I'm rooting for this woman, Allie. I don't know her, Allie Thunstrom. Do you know her?
Yeah. Yep. I know
She's
Allie.
she's in her mid 30s. So I'm
Yep.
really hoping that she makes it and gets drafted because that's so cool. Like
She's a Minnesota kid.
Okay.
She played at BC.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yep. Yep. She was
I just
tough
think
to play
that's a
against.
great story
Pat,
because this league wasn't
She
there.
is
Now she's going.
speedy. So yeah, same thing with Rachel Lannis. Rachel Lannis, Team China. You have her listed. She's a Northeastern grad. She played for me at Northeastern. You know, if you
Yeah, I have her highlighted on mine because I didn't know if you would look through the whole sheet and I was going to surprise
yeah,
you.
I saw that.
You knew,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, okay. She I mean, I don't know what Allie's been doing and necessarily, but like I look at like a Rachel Lannis, like who knows? Like that's the kind of situation where I know she's a physical specimen. I know she's committed to like health and physical fitness. She's a trainer. So you know, she definitely 1991. I think that's wrong, China. Women's World Champ, 1991. That was a long time ago. That was when I played.
Might be.
Like I coached her.
Well, the italics are for Olympic experience. I mean the asterisks. Sorry, the asterisks.
Gotcha.
And the ones in blue are just the ones that I've seen play and I remember.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So that's another example of a person. I mean, who knows? Who knows
Right.
who they're going to go for? Who knows if she can make a team as a reserve or, you know. And then there's a tryout period after the draft. Isn't there like a time when
I'm sorry?
after the draft, isn't there there's a signing period where they can
Around free agent and draft?
they can come to camp.
Yeah. Like a PTO, like a paid tryout, basically. Like the NHL does. They invite them to camp. I think that's how, I could be speaking out of turn, but I think that's how Kelly Babstock ended up on the Fleet. And Kelly, if you're listening, still want you to come on the podcast because you're one of my favorite players. But Babstock's a perfect example. Maybe she wasn't getting enough time, right? And she was one of those people that was on the taxi squad off and on, right?
Mm-hmm.
With two new teams, do you have a known commodity in what Kelly Babstock brings, or do you get a draft pick on one of these older players or a new young player? You know, and I'll go back to Peyton Anderson. Peyton Anderson has got hands for days. Like she is filthy. And take a flyer, right? I mean, yeah, it's I don't envy these GMs because this is a unbelievable amount of talent to pick from. But it's
how many rounds is the draft? 6 rounds?
Either 6 or 7.
So
I think it was 7 last year, right?
Okay, so 50-ish players, 48
out of 200.
Yeah. So we should do a draft challenge.
God.
For us. You don't have like maybe you'd be within plus or minus 3 of the position, like who will be drafted.
But yeah, that's totally unfair. I've never seen it. I'll do it, but I've never I haven't seen half these players play.
It's time for you to grow.
You just want to win one. You're so mad over the playoffs.
I don't know if I'll even be right. I mean, you do more research than I do, and then I just read.
You just come in and rip on me. Yeah.
But I just, I mean, this is all very exciting. I want to go to the draft. I don't even know how you go because if anybody listening to this can get me to the draft in Ottawa, I live 3.5 hours from there driving. in Rochester, and there's nothing online about trying to apply for anything from a media perspective. There's a way to get invited by entering contests, I think, for fans.
I saw that.
Obviously, it has to be limited to, but it's a hotel. I mean, I don't know. It's just opening, if it's even open yet. It's a little cutting it close, I think, because it doesn't say it's open yet. Maybe it's only going to open for this event, like from the perspective of
it could just be
the event.
And a kitchen or something.
Yeah. But I
if anyone from the PWHL is listening, Linda would like a media credential. Boots on the ground.
My birthday is the next day. Happy birthday to me. Send me something so I can go to the draft.
Yep.
I haven't told my family that. And that's the last day of school.
Wait, so you're in school for another week, your kids?
June 24th is the kids' last day.
Wow, Riley's last day is tomorrow. We only had one snow day.
We didn't have any.
Huh.
And we didn't get a break. I don't understand. That's another thing. Just like the draft math, the salary cap, I don't understand the school year. Number 185 days or how it works and why they're in school till June 24th and why they're out on Juneteenth. I know why they're out on Juneteenth. Don't get me wrong on that. But they're out on Juneteenth and then they have to go to school Friday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Huh.
And Tuesday's fun day where you're just outside playing games all day. I want to go to the draft and not be a selfish mom. So I want to have my kids out of school so I can take my family with me and be like, let's do a road trip and go to a hotel.
They'll miss that fun day, right?
They're not going to. They can't miss it. So
yeah.
Anyway, I digress.
Is the draft? Is the 24th? Is that what it is?
Yeah, the 24th in Ottawa.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will be in Toronto playing for the Beer League National Champions, so I can't. But I would love to go.
Drop the bomb.
I would love to go. Oh, no, that's not a name drop. Although, if we
got to have different things for different, I guess.
If any of the Scepters are bopping around in Mississauga and you want to see some horrible old man hockey, hit me up and come down by the rink. I'll be the one limping around. Yeah, and then the only other thing I have, Linda, and I think we can both talk about this, is today I received the official email from Northeastern Women's Hockey that the last 12 games are scheduled for historic Matthews Arena.
Yeah, right there
in the frame behind you.
Right here.
But it's
my background in my office, which
there it is.
That I had to get it refinished and framed because it had mold on it from being in Matthews Arena, which is why they're tearing it down.
So they open up with an exhibition against the Stingers. I don't know who that is.
That's Concordia. That's Julie Chu's team.
That's whose team?
Julie Chu.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And then October 3rd. Is that Penn State?
Bringing it up now.
I don't know. They only put logos. They didn't say who it was. So I don't know who that is. It's a cat.
Oh, yeah. I don't know who that is
either.
Princeton?
Is that the Princeton Tigers, maybe?
That's really weird that they did it that way, huh?
Yeah, well, I know all the others. They got PC, RPI, BU, a pair with Vermont, Merrimack. Oh, there's Penn State. And then Quinnipiac, I think, is that cat. And then the last game for the women's team is going to be December 6th against Boston College. I don't know who that October 3rd and 4th opponent is. It's some type of
It's RIT.
Oh, all right, RIT. There you go.
I just went to the website. I thought it might be RIT, but I was like, it could be.
I
mean, I see a lot of opportunity for some pretty epic alumni events in that time frame. Last dates on the ice. I know November dates are homecoming weekend, which is always the Hall of Fame as well. And that December 6th is probably going to be heavily attended. So looks like I better just start booking my flights to Boston.
Very bittersweet. This is why I made it my plus and minus. It's my minus because it's sad, right? It's a historic building. I love going there. I don't have the same relationship which is weird to say, a relationship with a building. I don't have the same
Yeah.
relationship with the building that you do, but I still love it for the history of it, the way that it's my introduction to women's hockey, right? All that. And that's the minus, but the plus is these players deserve a state of the art facility, and so does the college, and they're going to get that, and it's going to be unbelievable to see them shoehorn this monstrosity, and I mean that in a good way, into that footprint. So,
Yeah, I mean, here's what my experience is as far as upgrades and state of the art. When I played there, and even when I coached there, which was well after I played, the weight room was, underneath the stairwell where the stands were in the door. It was underneath, like in a little alcove. There was a hallway that cut through that anybody could walk through at any time while you were doing workouts. And we just made do with it. I mean, we stepped out on that ice every time, and we thought we were in the best building in the world. So we, of course we wanted more. And then while I was coaching there, I can't remember what year we did this. It had to be 2011, maybe. Maybe it was earlier than that, but we got the upgrade. And one of the reasons why they couldn't enclose the whole downstairs area that they now have was because they needed to figure out an egress situation, like all building code stuff, right? But when we got that upgrade to that room, and the training room was off of it, and it was small, it was quaint, but it felt new and nice. These players and this program and the sports at Northeastern deserve a better one of the more systemic issues at Northeastern that this is also going to address. It's going to be a multi-use facility, but there's nowhere to pay homage to all the great athletes that came through. Coach Flint has the Olympians in his office, which is great when recruits come in, but there's no place to put like a wall of a Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame itself for Northeastern isn't displayed anywhere. So you're really kind of like, killing a bunch of birds with one stone type of thing, even though it's a very expensive one. But it was always, I feel, hey, we're grateful to play in this historic building. It's got such a great feeling to it, and there's nothing like it. And then kudos to Northeastern and the Dog Pound and everything over the past couple of years with the team and just the increased visibility fan-wise with the students coming out to follow the team. But it's going to be a painful year and a half for these teams and these programs to go through, but I'm sure all worth it.
It's funny you said something about the Hall of Fame. So I will say one of my favorite things every time I go to a new rink for the first time is in between periods. And that's just, I'll give you a glimpse into my mindset. I'll make notes throughout the game, like on a piece of paper. I never write like a blog because I'm always afraid that I'm going to jinx it. So I don't want to be like Northeastern's coming, even if they're up like 4-0 in the first period, or when I was in Dartmouth, I won't come out and start the writing. I wait because I don't want to jinx. So in between periods, I usually just kind of bop around the rink and like walking around UNH, how they in the new rink, how they have all the players, BC has all that stuff, Providence has some stuff. Dartmouth had it. It's just cool to see all that, and then you're like, oh, this person played here,
Yeah, I mean, Harvard did it. Harvard did a reno. Harvard used to you actually couldn't even at Harvard, the way it used to be, where their we'll call it like a visibility wall, like a program visibility. You couldn't even walk two people by that little area. And then they bumped everything out and they were able to sort of modernize it. I mean, look at when I went to Bishop Kearney.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
That was amazing. When I was at Cornell's an older rink and kind of has that tight, like it's kind of hard to get around. You can walk outside the rink and look in the door to the rink, but they had some pretty nice modern displays. It was always a bone of contention at Northeastern. What can we do with the rink? There are places in the lobby where you could potentially modernize it, but remember, it's an historic landmark, so you couldn't touch some of the beams and some of the architecture. I mean, I don't know how that all works now. I guess the building is falling down and it's a safety issue.
Safety issue.
Yeah, so I was at Northeastern last week. I had a meeting at Northeastern Monday, and I had flown in that day. So I took the train over to Back Bay, bebopped around, had some lunch, waited for my meeting, and I walked down St. Vital, and I was right out front of the archway, and I had to snap a picture. I was thinking, God, can that, the cool thing will be if they can like repurpose that archway somehow.
Well, in the mock-ups, it looked like they were going to have that same entrance inside. They were going to
Yeah,
honor it. And
yeah,
I think there's enough people. I think I mean, you, me, and Kelly aren't the only ones that love the building. So there's a lot of people that are going to make sure, I think, to keep
yeah,
it, the historic value of it. And I think that's more, I think as time goes on, that becomes a more and more appreciated thing, the history.
yeah,
And I mean, it's the struggle in Boston. It's an old city. They had the same thing with Fenway. They had the same thing with the TD Garden, or the old Boston Garden when they tore that down.
yeah.
It's always a struggle in a old compact city. There's not space.
People are not complaining though that they're not sitting behind a pole like you still
That's
do
true.
that at Fenway Park.
That's true. That's true. Yeah,
You
there's
should sit behind poles at Boston Garden too.
yeah, oh yeah, I remember. Or you have to look. You'd have to watch like with your head down because it would cut off.
Underneath the overhang. Yeah.
There's someone on Instagram, and I apologize, I can't think of the handle off the top of my head, where they find the worst seats in every arena. Have you seen that?
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah,
You're gonna have to follow up on that one now.
yeah, it'll be my mea culpa for next week. We'll give them some love. But yeah, that's all we got. A nice, quick, short one. I feel like a lot happened, but we wrapped it up pretty succinctly.
Yeah, and a lot's still happening, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we've got the entry draft on the 24th. There's a lot happening with NIL and the house settlement, and we have to try to take our ADD meds and figure out which direction we want to go with the rest of the summer.
Interviews.
Yeah. We got to bring you some interviews, grab some coaches.
A live podcast in August, I believe. If not, we don't have it on sooner, but I've been doing some work on that. So
yeah,
we just got to figure out the logistics of all that. But yeah, listen, we're going to be here. So not to worry. The website is almost done. It's pretty much done, but there's some other features we're going to have on there. That's btghockeypod.com. We're available on all social medias at BTG. Oh my God, I'm going to get it wrong. It's BTG Hockey Pod on all socials, right? Is that right?
Yep, you got it. Don't get it wrong.
Please like, subscribe, share, and
comment.
Yeah, comment.
What you want to see.
And whoever
about what we're talking about,
One person commented about love the content, but I've listened to too many bad online work meetings. I can't deal with the echoes. I hope we fix that for you.
Yeah, let's see.
I responded.
That's what I'm trying with this. We're working on it.
Yeah, we're trying. Yeah,
I am definitely amateur hour, just trying to stay afloat over here.
What I really feel bad is my buddy hooked me up with all this, this great sound stuff, and I can't get it working properly. So, shout out to Fitzy once again. Well, that's all I got. Jada Ginla, not this year. We'll see you in next year's draft, but hopefully I'll be able to catch one of your games, and I hope you have a good day tomorrow. Linda?
All right, bye for now.
All right, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.